The sun rose over a broken world. Cities burned in silence, their smoke reaching high into the sky. The once busy roads were filled with wrecked vehicles and fallen debris. Yet among the ruins, the sound of human voices still echoed. Groups of survivors worked together, building shelters and searching for anyone still alive. Even in destruction, life refused to fade. Commander Rian stood on top of a half-destroyed tower looking over what was left of Noria City. His uniform was torn and his arm was wrapped in bandages. Behind him, soldiers checked their weapons and waited for orders. The air smelled of ash and metal, but the people around him still had a spark in their eyes. Ryan spoke through a communicator. "Report status from the Western District," a voice replied. "We have civilians secured in the subway tunnels, Commander. Power is down, but we are setting up generators. Enemy patrols are searching nearby." Ryan nodded. "Keep quiet. If they find the tunnels, pull back immediately. No unnecessary risks." He turned toward Mira, who stood beside a portable scanner. Her hands moved quickly across the controls. "Their ships are holding formation in orbit," she said. "But there is movement in the lower atmosphere. The Turks are sending drones to scout the remaining resistance zones." Ryan frowned. "They are mapping us. We cannot let that happen. We need to bring one of those drones down. We must learn how they operate." Within minutes, his team prepared an ambush. They took positions across the rooftops, using signal jammers to lure the drone closer. The alien machine appeared in the distance, glowing faint blue and spinning slowly as it scanned the city. Its movement was silent and precise. When it reached their range, Ryan raised his hand. "Now!" A rocket shot through the sky and hit the drone's side. It exploded into fragments and crashed into the street below. Soldiers ran toward it before more aliens could arrive. They covered the area and dragged the broken machine back to their hidden base. In the underground lab, Mira and her team worked to open the drone. Inside, glowing circuits pulsed like veins. It was unlike anything human science had ever built. "This material is alive in some way," Mira said softly. "It reacts to touch." She scanned the parts carefully. "There is a signal link here. It connects directly to the Turks fleet. They control everything from orbit. That is why their troops move so precisely. If we can jam or break this connection, their system will fall apart." Rian listened and thought for a moment. "Then our mission is clear. We need to capture more technology. The more we learn, the better we can strike." Over the next few days, the humans began small raids across the occupied zones. They attacked enemy patrols at night, stole their weapons, and captured machines. The Turks were powerful, but they were not ready for such unpredictable tactics. Every time they adapted, humans changed their plans again. In the desert of Arvin, a group of human engineers used old mining tunnels to move unseen. They built traps that exploded when alien vehicles passed by. In the forests of South Asia, tribes used simple bows coated with acid from destroyed alien batteries. In the mountains, pilots flew damaged aircraft repaired with spare parts, striking enemy ships with courage that surprised even their commanders. The Turks command ship monitored the situation. Commander Valtor stood before a giant screen showing hundreds of flashing red marks representing lost units. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with frustration. "They are adapting faster than expected," said his officer. Valtor replied. "They have no order, no unity, yet they continue to fight." "Why do they not understand defeat?" The officer hesitated. "Perhaps it is their nature. They fight even when victory is impossible." Valtor turned sharply. "Then we will make it impossible to fight at all." He ordered orbital strikes on key human bases. Beams of white energy fell from the sky, burning everything they touched. Mountains shook, oceans boiled, and cities disappeared under waves of fire. Yet somehow humanity survived again. Each time the Turks destroyed one base, another appeared somewhere else. Humanity was like water. It changed shape but never vanished. Deep underground, Project Dawn continued its work. Mira and her scientists studied the captured alien devices. She was tired, her eyes red from sleepless nights, but her mind stayed sharp. Ryan visited her often, checking progress. "We have confirmed it," Mira said one morning. "The Turks army relies on a single control frequency from their main ship. If we can interrupt that signal even for a short time, their entire force will lose coordination." Ryan looked at the glowing display. "How long would the disruption last?" "Maybe 10 minutes," she replied. "Maybe less. But 10 minutes could change everything if we use them wisely." Rian nodded. "Then we start preparing for a global counterattack." Across Earth, small victories began to appear. Human forces in Europe destroyed a Turok's control hub using homemade explosives. In Africa, engineers built railguns from broken ship parts. In the Americas, pilots flew drones guided by children who played video games their whole lives, turning their skills into real combat tactics. Every victory, no matter how small, became a message of hope. People began calling Rian's resistance force the Laughing Shadows. The name started when a group of soldiers, surrounded by Turok's troops, laughed before fighting back. Their laughter was heard through the radio. That moment became a symbol. It spread across the planet as a reminder that fear could never defeat spirit. Commander Walter grew angrier with every report. "They laugh even when they are dying," he said to his officers. "They mock us. What kind of species finds humor in war?" One officer replied carefully, "Perhaps they laugh because they refuse to fear you." Walter slammed his fist against the console. "Then we will teach them fear." He ordered the capture of human prisoners to learn their weaknesses. Several were taken to orbiting ships, but the aliens found little success. Humans gave no useful information. Some refused to speak. Some smiled even while imprisoned. Walter began to understand something new. These beings were not fighting only to live. They were fighting for what they believed in. Meanwhile, Project Dawn prepared for its biggest mission. The captured drone data revealed the exact coordinates of the Turok central ship in orbit. If humans could reach it, they could place a device directly inside the control core. The problem was getting there. Ryan gathered his team in the underground briefing room. The light flickered and the air was heavy with tension. Maps of the planet and the alien fleet covered the walls. Mira stood beside him holding a holographic model of a Turok shuttle. "This is our opportunity," Ryan said. "We have captured and repaired one of their scout ships. It is small, but its disguise is perfect. We can use it to slip through their defense lines." One soldier asked, "Commander, that means going into space. Even if we reach the ship, how do we escape?" Ryan looked at them calmly. "One problem at a time. Our goal is not to come back as heroes. Our goal is to make sure humanity wins." Silence filled the room. Then one by one the soldiers nodded. They were ready. In the days that followed, teams around the world worked together to support the mission. Engineers built launch systems in secret. Mechanics tested engines in caves. Civilians donated materials and food. For the first time in history, there were no nations or borders. There was only humanity. As the launch day approached, Ryan walked through the base one last time. He saw people writing letters, repairing weapons, and sharing quiet meals. Mira stood near the shuttle, adjusting the control panels. "You do not have to come," Ryan said to her. She looked at him with tired eyes but a strong voice. "If this fails, everything we built ends." "I will not stay behind," Ryan nodded. "Then we go together." When the night came, the small team entered the captured alien craft. The engines started with a low hum, glowing faint blue like the alien ships above. The launch tunnel opened, revealing a dark sky filled with stars and enemy lights. The base crew saluted as the shuttle rose into the air. The journey to orbit was rough. The shuttle shook under heavy fire, but its disguise worked. Alien scanners identified it as friendly. Once above the clouds, Earth looked peaceful from space. Ryan stared at it for a moment, remembering everything they were fighting for. In the command ship, Walter received reports of a small vessel approaching. His officers checked its code and confirmed it belonged to their fleet. He ignored it and turned his focus elsewhere, unaware that humans were now inside his domain. Ryan's team approached the massive mothership quietly. Its surface stretched like a metallic mountain, covered in lights and weapon towers. They found an open docking bay and landed. The doors closed behind them. Inside, everything was silent. The walls were smooth and alive with blue light. Ryan led the way with his rifle ready. Mira followed with the control device in her hands. Their footsteps echoed through the endless corridors. They had entered the heart of the enemy. Far below, on Earth, people waited for the signal. Soldiers stared at radios. Civilians gathered around screens. No one slept. Everyone knew that if this mission failed, there would be no second chance. Commander Walter stood in his chamber, unaware that his greatest enemy was already within his own ship. He looked down at Earth again. "Tomorrow we end them," he said coldly. But humanity had other plans. The next chapter of the war was about to begin, and the galaxy was about to learn that humans were not just survivors. They were fighters who laughed in the face of fear. The small captured alien ship drifted silently toward the massive Turok's mothership. From a distance, it looked like a piece of metal dust against a mountain of silver steel. The mothership glowed faint blue and circled above Earth like a dark moon. Its shadow covered oceans and cities. Inside the disguised shuttle, Commander Rian and his team prepared for the most dangerous mission humanity had ever attempted. Rian looked at his team. Their faces were tired but determined. Each person knew that the success of this mission could decide the future of their world. Mira sat near the control panel, checking the device that could destroy the Turok's command link. Her hands were steady, but her eyes revealed the pressure she carried. "The signal disruptor is ready," she said. "We must reach the central chamber of the mothership to activate it. Once connected, it will send a pulse strong enough to break their control network." Ryan nodded. "How long do we have after we activate it?" 10 minutes at most," she answered. "After that, their systems will adapt. We must escape before the ship explodes." Ryan looked around at the faces of his soldiers. No mistakes. No hesitation. We go in together, we come out together. Humanity is counting on us. The team silently prepared their weapons. The captured alien shuttle approached the docking bay of the mothership. The bay doors opened without question, because the ship's identity code matched the Turok system. The shuttle landed smoothly on the glowing metal floor. The humans could hear the hum of alien machinery around them. When the doors opened, they saw a wide hall filled with strange shapes. The walls were alive with shifting light, and every step echoed like thunder. Alien soldiers moved in the distance, unaware that humans had entered their stronghold. Ryan signaled his team to move quietly. They split into pairs and advanced through the corridors. The structure was confusing, filled with long passages and floating platforms. Mira followed the signals on her scanner, guiding them toward the central command chamber. Each corner was guarded by mechanical drones that floated silently. The humans used cloaking devices made from scavenged alien tech to hide their movement. As they moved deeper inside, Mira noticed the walls pulsing faster. "The core is near," she whispered. Before they could reach it, an alien patrol appeared from a side passage. The soldiers were tall and armored, their eyes glowing blue. One of them looked directly at Ryan's group. The silence broke. "Open fire," Ryan shouted. Energy blasts filled the corridor. The humans dodged behind metal columns, firing carefully. The Turok soldiers responded with precise shots, but their armor was not strong against the human-modified weapons. After a short fight, the patrol fell. Ryan's team moved quickly, knowing the alarm would spread. Red lights flashed across the walls as the ship's systems detected intruders. A loud siren began to echo through the halls. Mira pointed to the end of the passage. "The core is straight ahead. We have to hurry." They ran through a massive chamber filled with cables and glowing orbs. The air was warm and heavy. The floor shook slightly with the heartbeat of the ship's energy. At the center stood a large circular structure surrounded by floating crystals. That was the control core of the Turok's fleet. Mira knelt beside the base of the core and connected her device. Sparks flew as the disruptor linked with the alien system. Her screen showed streams of unknown symbols flashing faster and faster. "Almost ready," she said. "Hold them off." Ryan and his soldiers formed a line near the entrance. Alien troops began to arrive from every side. Blinding light filled the chamber as both sides exchanged fire. The sound of explosions mixed with the hum of energy from the core. The humans fought with everything they had. Mira's device beeped. "It is set," she shouted. "Activation in 3 seconds." Ryan turned to his team. "Brace yourselves." The disruptor released a powerful wave of energy that spread through the entire ship. Lights flickered and died. The alien soldiers stopped moving for a moment, their communication helmets sparking. Across space, every Turok ship connected to the network felt the pulse. On Earth, people watching the sky saw something incredible. The alien fleet suddenly changed color as their formation broke apart. Ships crashed into each other. Energy beams stopped firing. The invasion had frozen in place. Rian smiled for the first time in days. It worked. "They are blind," Mira grabbed the device. "We need to get out before the system restarts. The ship will overload soon." The team ran back through the corridors while alarms screamed around them. Fire spread along the walls. Explosions shook the floors. Ryan helped a wounded soldier to his feet and pulled him forward. The docking bay was in sight, but more aliens blocked the exit. Ryan raised his weapon and shouted, "Keep moving." The humans fought their way to the shuttle. Mira jumped inside and started the engines. The ship rose as alien fighters appeared behind them. Lasers hit the hull, but the shuttle held together long enough to escape the mothership's gravity. As they moved away, a massive explosion filled the sky. The Turok's mothership broke apart in a wave of blue fire. Debris scattered into orbit, lighting up the dark space like a new sunrise. On the ground, people watched the burning wreck fall toward the ocean. Cheers erupted in every shelter and bunker. Soldiers hugged each other. Civilians cried with joy. Humanity had just destroyed the heart of the enemy fleet. Inside the shuttle, Ryan stared at the explosion in silence. Mira sat beside him, her hands shaking. "We did it," she whispered. Rian nodded. "Yes, but this is not the end. They still have ships. They will return." Back on Earth, defense forces quickly regrouped. With the alien network broken, their ships became easy targets. Human fighter jets, missiles, and railguns launched from hidden bases. For the first time, the sky above Earth belonged to humanity again. In one region, a group of pilots used old aircraft to chase down damaged alien cruisers. They flew through fire and debris, guiding their planes with steady hands. One pilot shouted through the radio, "For Earth." The words were repeated across every channel. In another part of the world, ground troops attacked alien positions with renewed energy. Civilians joined the fight carrying supplies and weapons. The laughter of victory echoed through destroyed cities. The Turok soldiers, confused and cut off from command, began to retreat. High above, the surviving Turok ship struggled to restore order. Commander Valtor stood in disbelief as reports filled his screen. His main command ship was destroyed, and communication with the fleet was gone. His officers looked at him with fear. "What has happened?" one asked. Valtor stared at the chaos outside the window. "They struck us from within. Humans were aboard the mothership." The officer asked, "What are your orders?" Valtor hesitated. It was the first time he had ever faced defeat. "Fall back to the outer orbit," he said slowly. "We must regroup before they destroy everything." But it was already too late. Human warships, built using scavenged alien technology, rose from the atmosphere and attacked. The aliens fought back, but without their central system, their coordination failed. One by one, their ships exploded under human fire. On the ground, Ryan's shuttle landed near the coast. The team stepped out to the sound of waves and distant cheering. Soldiers surrounded them, saluting their commander. Mira smiled as she looked up at the sky filled with burning fragments of the alien fleet. Ryan spoke to his team. "This is not just our victory. It belongs to every person who never gave up. Every worker, every soldier, every child who believed in us." Mira nodded. "They thought fear would make us surrender. But we turned fear into strength." The news of victory spread quickly across the planet. People lit fires in celebration. Flags rose again above destroyed cities. Humanity had proven that even the most advanced enemy could fall before their courage. In the following hours, the remaining alien ships tried to flee into deep space. Some were destroyed before they could escape. Others disappeared into the dark, carrying the story of defeat with them. Commander Valtor sat in his damaged flagship, watching Earth grow smaller as they retreated. His face was calm but filled with regret. He turned to his advisor. "We underestimated them. We thought they were simple, emotional beings. But they fight with something stronger than logic. They fight with hope." His advisor said, "Should we return to finish the war later?" Valtor shook his head. "No, we will not return. Any species that can destroy our command ship with their bare hands deserves respect. Let this world stand. Let this be a warning to every empire." On Earth, the night was filled with lights as the wreckage of the alien ships burned upon re-entry. Ryan stood by the ocean with Mira beside him. The water glowed with reflections of fire. Mira spoke softly. "We won today, but what if they come again?" Ryan looked at the horizon. "Then we will be ready. Humanity will never be caught sleeping again. We have learned that we are stronger together." The wind carried the sound of distant cheers. Across the planet, people rebuilt homes, repaired machines, and cared for the wounded. For the first time in generations, there were no borders or divisions. The world was one people under one goal. The battle had changed everything. Humanity had gone from survivors to victors. The message was clear to all who watched from the stars. Earth was not a weak world. It was a home to a race that refused to bow. The Turoks had learned the hard way that conquering humans was not just about weapons or power. It was about breaking a spirit that could never be broken. And that was... The night was quiet across Earth. Stars shined above cities and oceans. People were resting, working, or watching the skies without fear. It was a night like any other until the stars began to move. At first it looked like a meteor shower, but the lights did not fade. They grew larger and brighter, spreading across the atmosphere like fire in the sky. In the city of Noria, a boy pointed upward and shouted to his father. The lights turned into massive shapes that blocked the moon. The air began to tremble with deep sound like thunder that never stopped. People came out of their homes staring with wide eyes. Cars stopped on the roads. Phones rang everywhere. News stations started to broadcast live images of what looked like hundreds of alien ships entering Earth's orbit. The world went silent. For the first time in history, every country looked at the same thing in the sky. Governments across the planet contacted each other, trying to understand what was happening. Military radars confirmed the presence of objects larger than anything ever built by humans. Within hours, the alien fleet surrounded Earth. The ships were dark silver, covered in strange lines that glowed blue. They had no flags or symbols that anyone could understand. Then a signal was sent to every screen and every speaker on the planet. A voice spoke in clear translated words. This planet now belongs to the Turok's dominion. You will surrender your control. Resistance will lead to destruction. The message repeated in every human language. People panicked. Some prayed, others ran to safety. But in the middle of fear, there were those who refused to give up. The world leaders called an emergency meeting through a global communication network. For once, every nation spoke as one. In a military base hidden deep in the mountains, a young commander named Rian stood before a group of scientists and soldiers. His uniform was dusty, his face calm but focused. He listened to the broadcast again and then looked at the team. They think we will kneel, Ryan said, but they have no idea who we are. The room was silent. The team members exchanged nervous looks. A scientist named Mira adjusted her glasses and asked, Commander, what if their weapons are beyond ours? We have no idea what they can do. Ryan nodded. Then we learn. We fight smarter, not harder. Humanity has survived worse on its own planet. Now we survive again. Project Dawn was formed that night. It was a secret alliance of the brightest minds, soldiers, and engineers from across the world. Their mission was to understand the alien technology and find a way to fight back. The Turoks had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened the most unpredictable species in the galaxy. The first attack came over major cities. Bright beams of light struck power plants and communication towers. Energy fields shut down entire regions. Ships hovered over the oceans, sending waves that destroyed naval fleets in seconds. Yet the Turoks did not aim to wipe out humans completely. They wanted to break their will and force them to surrender. In the ruins of a destroyed city, Rian watched the horizon. Smoke filled the air, but people still moved among the debris, helping each other. He saw a group of firefighters saving civilians trapped under a fallen bridge. None of them had weapons, yet they were still fighting in their own way. That sight gave him strength. They can burn our cities, he said quietly, but they can never burn our spirit. Ryan gathered his officers. They built a new command post underground using the tunnels of an old subway system. The group included scientists, communication experts, and engineers who worked around the clock. Every piece of alien wreckage they found was brought there for study. Meanwhile, around the world, humanity adapted faster than anyone expected. Engineers learned how to block the alien signals using modified radio waves. Mechanics turned farm machines into armored carriers. Hackers from every nation worked together, trying to break into the alien networks. The human race was not giving up. The Turoks watched with confusion. On their command ship, Commander Valtor stood before a holographic map of Earth. His tall form was covered in silver armor, his eyes glowing faintly blue. He turned to his officers. Status report, he demanded. One of his soldiers replied, Their cities are in ruins, but their resistance continues. Every time we strike, they rebuild. Every time we destroy their systems, they find another way to fight. Valtor frowned. Primitive species should not be capable of this. They are emotional and divided. How do they survive without order? Another officer said, They are unpredictable. Their methods are not logical. They fight in ways that make no sense. Valtor's gaze darkened. Then we will crush them completely. He ordered the next phase of the invasion. Giant transport ships began to deploy ground forces in deserts, forests, and cities. The Turok soldiers were tall, powerful, and armed with plasma rifles that could melt steel. But even before they reached their targets, they found human traps waiting. Mines exploded under their feet. Small drones attacked from hidden buildings. It was chaos. Humanity was learning the Turok's weaknesses. The aliens depended heavily on central command signals from their orbiting ships. When those signals were jammed, the ground troops became slow and disorganized. Ryan's scientists noticed this and started to plan something bigger. Mira showed Ryan a holographic display of the captured data. They use a single control link to coordinate all their units, she explained. If we can disrupt it, their entire operation will collapse for a short time. Ryan looked at her with determination. Then we make that happen. We will give humanity a fighting chance. Across the globe, human morale began to rise again. News spread that Project Dawn was developing a countermeasure. Civilians started to support the soldiers, building shelters, carrying supplies, and keeping the wounded safe. Children drew pictures of spaceships burning in the sky, and people shared stories of bravery. Humanity's heart was stronger than any weapon. One night, Ryan walked through the underground base. He saw tired faces, dirty hands, and eyes filled with hope. Mira was still at her desk, surrounded by blinking lights. She looked up and said, "We are close, Commander." "Just a few more days," Ryan smiled slightly. "Good, because they will attack again soon." High above Earth, Commander Valtor stood before his council. "Humans refuse to surrender," he said. "They are not worth our patience. Prepare to strike their capitals. I want every sign of their civilization erased." The Turok's fleet began to move. Thousands of lights lit up across the sky, ready to descend. On the ground, alarms blared as defense systems activated. Ryan received the signal and ordered every soldier to take position. The next morning, the world changed again. Alien fire rained down from orbit, striking military bases and cities. Explosions shook the earth. The sky turned red with smoke and burning debris. People ran for cover as buildings collapsed. Yet in every corner of the planet, humans fought back. Missiles launched from underground silos, fighter jets charged at impossible odds, and soldiers used captured alien weapons to defend what was left. In Noria City, Ryan led a defense squad through shattered streets. Alien machines hovered overhead, firing beams that tore through buildings. Ryan took cover and shouted, "Focus on their joints. That is their weak point." His team fired back with energy rifles made from scavenged alien parts. One of the machines exploded, crashing into a tower. Mira watched from the command center. "Signal strength of their fleet is stable, but we can trace the control frequency now," she said to her team. "Keep recording. Every second matters." Hours passed. The Turoks were winning on the surface, but they had started to lose small skirmishes in unexpected ways. Humans attacked in small, unorganized groups that moved quickly and never followed predictable patterns. The aliens had advanced weapons, but humans had creativity and stubbornness. By the end of the day, the aliens had taken control of several regions, yet Earth's global communication network still functioned. Broadcasts from soldiers and civilians showed acts of courage that inspired millions. Humanity refused to accept defeat. That night, Ryan returned to the underground base, his armor damaged and face covered in dust. Mira greeted him with a faint smile. "We have what we need," she said. "We can build a device to disrupt their command link." Ryan looked at the screen showing alien movements across the planet. "Then let us give them something to regret," he replied. Outside, the stars still shined, but now they shared the sky with the enemy fleet. The world was wounded yet alive. In every home, camp, and bunker, people whispered the same promise. Humanity would not end here. Far above Earth, Commander Valtor looked down at the blue planet. He had expected silence and surrender, but instead he saw endless resistance. He turned to his second-in-command and said, "They are not like the others. These humans are dangerous." For the first time in his long military career, Valtor felt a trace of unease. The war he thought would last a week had just begun. And on the ground, Commander Ryan and his people prepared to fight not just for survival, but for the right to prove what humanity truly was. The battle for Earth had started, and the world would never be the same again. The morning after the great battle, Earth was silent. The sky that had once been filled with alien fire now glowed with sunlight, breaking through clouds of smoke. Cities lay in ruins, but they stood strong. The people who survived looked up not in fear, but with pride. The war that had almost destroyed the world had turned in humanity's favor. The alien mothership was gone, and the Turok's fleet was scattered like dust across the stars. Commander Ryan stood near the coast where the remains of the alien vessel had fallen into the ocean. Huge pieces of dark metal still floated on the water, steaming and hissing as they cooled. His uniform was torn, his face covered in dirt, but his eyes carried the calm strength of victory. Beside him stood Mira, Thomas, and Lynn, the heroes who had carried the signal disruptor into the heart of the enemy ship. The mission had taken everything from them. They had fought without sleep, watched friends fall, and faced death countless times. Yet now they were alive, standing on their own planet again. Behind them, soldiers cheered as rescue ships landed to pick up survivors. Doctors moved quickly between rows of injured fighters, tending to them with care. Ryan looked at the horizon. The sun reflected off the waves, and for the first time in months, the sea looked peaceful. "It is over," he said softly. Mira nodded. "For now, yes. But we still have much to rebuild." He smiled faintly. "We will rebuild. That is what humans do best." News spread across the planet within hours. The alien fleet had been defeated. The mothership had fallen. Humanity had won. Every screen, every radio, every voice carried the same message. Earth was free. Crowds filled the streets of damaged cities, waving flags and hugging each other. People sang songs of victory in languages from every corner of the world. For the first time, there were no nations, no borders, no divisions. There was only humanity. In the middle of the celebrations, the remains of the Orcs were being collected. A few alien soldiers had survived the crash of their ships and were now prisoners of war. They sat quietly under heavy guard, not from fear of escape, but because they were lost. They had never known defeat before. They had never seen such unity from any world they had conquered. Ryan and his team were called to the central command base. The World Council, now gathered in a single temporary bunker, wanted to speak to them. The bunker was filled with scientists, generals, and leaders. They all rose when Ryan entered. The head of the council, an older man with a tired face, greeted him with a firm handshake. "You have done what no one believed possible," the man said. "You and your team have saved Earth." Ryan shook his head. "Not just us. Everyone did their part. From soldiers to farmers, from engineers to children in shelters, humanity saved itself." The council members smiled at his humility. The leader said, "Still, your names will be remembered. You showed the galaxy what humans are made of." Mira looked at a holographic map showing the broken alien fleet. "Do we know where the rest of them went?" A scientist replied, "Most of the surviving ships fled into deep space. We are tracking their signals, but they are moving fast. It seems they are retreating to their homeworld." "Then they will remember this day," Ryan said quietly. "They will remember that they came here to conquer and left in shame." Outside, celebrations continued, but in the command room, the humans were already thinking about what came next. Earth had won, but at a terrible cost. Half the cities were destroyed. Power grids were down. Food supplies were running low. Yet even in this hardship, there was hope. People were working together again. Engineers were rebuilding power lines. Farmers were planting crops in the ashes. And doctors were using alien medical technology to heal the wounded. A week later, Ryan visited one of the recovery camps where both humans and captured aliens were being kept. The camp was quiet except for the sound of waves and the hum of machines. In a small guarded tent sat Commander Valtor, the alien leader who had once demanded Earth's surrender. He now looked tired and defeated. When Ryan entered, Valtor raised his eyes. His armor was gone and his skin had lost its usual silver glow. He studied the human for a long moment before speaking. "You could have destroyed us all," Valtor said. "Why did you show mercy?" Ryan stood calmly. "Because we are not like you. You came here believing we were weak. You thought fear and power ruled everything. But we fight for something greater. For each other." Valtor tilted his head. "Your species laughed in the face of death. Even when you were losing, you laughed. Why?" Ryan thought for a moment before answering. "Because laughter is hope. When everything is lost, when the world is burning, we still find a reason to smile. That is what keeps us human. You will never understand it because you have forgotten how to hope." The alien said nothing more. His gaze fell to the floor, and for the first time a shadow of regret crossed his face. When Ryan left the tent, the soldiers saluted him. Mira was waiting outside holding a small communication tablet. "A message from the scientists," she said. "They want to use the captured alien tech to build a new defense network. They are calling it the Guardian Shield." Ryan nodded. "Good. If the Orcs ever return, they will not find us unprepared." Over the next months, Earth began to heal. Broken cities became centers of unity. The remains of alien technology were studied and repurposed. Human engineers learned faster than anyone expected. Within a year, new ships were being built, not for war but for exploration. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors but as survivors who had earned respect through courage. The story of the war spread far beyond Earth. The Turok's empire, humiliated by their defeat, faced unrest within their own ranks. Other alien civilizations who had once feared them began to question their rule. Across distant systems, the tale of Earth became legend, the small blue planet that stood against an empire and laughed in the face of death. Ryan and his team were invited to the new Space Command Center, built on a mountain overlooking the ocean. From there, they could see the first human-built starship rise into the sky. It was called the Dawn Voyager. Its engines glowed with both human and alien technology, a symbol of the new age. Mira watched it ascend with pride. "We have come so far in such little time," she said. Ryan nodded. "We learned the hard way, but we learned." Thomas smiled. "Do you think the Turoks will ever return?" Ryan looked at the stars. "Maybe. But if they do, they will find a different Earth. Not a divided world, but a united one." As night fell, the stars shone brighter than ever. The team sat in silence, watching the ship vanish into the darkness of space. Behind them, the sounds of rebuilding filled the air. Hammers, engines, and laughter. Humanity was alive, stronger than ever before. Weeks later, Earth sent a message into the galaxy. It was a signal that carried no threat, only a statement of truth. It said, "We are human. We will fight when we must. We will stand together, and we will always hope." That signal traveled for years through the vast emptiness of space. Many alien races heard it, and those who once saw humans as weak began to see them differently. They spoke of the day the Turoks attacked Earth and failed. They told their children how humans, fragile and small, defeated an empire through courage and unity. Commander Rian returned to his family's old home, a small house near the hills. It had been damaged during the invasion, but he worked to rebuild it with his own hands. Every brick he lifted reminded him of the people who had fought and fallen. Sometimes at night he would sit outside and look up at the stars, thinking of all that had happened. Mira often visited, bringing updates about the space program. One evening, she said, "The Dawn Voyager reached Mars. The crew sent back pictures. They say the stars look peaceful again." Rian smiled. "Peaceful is good. We have earned it." Years later, children learned about the war in schools. They read stories about the courage of the human soldiers, the unity of the nations, and the laughter that refused to die even when hope seemed lost. Statues were built in memory of those who fought, and the names of Rian, Mira, Thomas, and Lynn became part of history. In time, the galaxy came to call that event humanity's last laugh. Not because it was cruel or mocking, but because it showed that even when facing destruction, humans never gave up their spirit. The day the aliens regretted war with Earth was the day they learned that strength does not come only from weapons. It comes from heart, from unity, and from the ability to hope when hope seems impossible. As the years passed, the human race continued to explore the stars. They built new colonies, made peaceful contact with other worlds, and carried their laughter with them wherever they went. And somewhere deep in space, on a distant world, the Turok's elders gathered to speak of the planet they once tried to conquer. They spoke in silence, their pride wounded, but their minds changed. One of them said, "We feared humans would bring chaos, but perhaps they brought balance. They taught us something we had forgotten. From that day, no alien empire dared to attack Earth again. Humanity's courage had become its greatest weapon, and its laughter had become a legend written in the stars." The galaxy remembered that moment forever, the moment when humanity stood alone, fought together, and laughed last. The dark sky above Earth was filled with fire as the battle reached its peak. The human fleet, built from every nation's remaining ships, stood in orbit like a fragile shield against the mighty alien armada. The Turok ships were larger, stronger, and more advanced, but they were no longer fighting an easy enemy. Humanity had learned, adapted, and refused to surrender. Commander Rian looked at the holographic display in front of him. Red lights covered the map, marking enemy ships. Yet his voice stayed calm as he spoke to his team. "Remember the plan. We do not run. We finish what we started." His team nodded. They were exhausted and bruised, but their eyes held the fire of hope. The stolen alien craft they rode in was small and fast, hidden from Turok scanners by an Earth-made energy field. Inside the ship were 4 humans, Ryan, Mira, Thomas, and Lynn. Together, they carried the device that could change the entire war, the signal disruptor. Down on Earth, millions of people watched the skies. Everyone knew the mission was happening, though few understood the details. Families prayed, soldiers held their weapons tighter, and scientists waited beside communication panels, ready to act the moment the signal came through. Humanity had never been more united. The alien mothership hung in the distance like a steel mountain. It was the largest vessel ever seen, shaped like a blade cutting through space. Its surface glowed with blue energy. That was the heart of the Turok's fleet and their command link. Every ship, every soldier, and every drone depended on the orders that came from within. Rian's ship drifted closer, using debris from destroyed satellites as cover. Mira kept her eyes on the radar. We are almost in range. No signs of detection yet. Good, Ryan replied. Keep our power levels low. Once we are inside, there is no turning back. They passed through a field of wreckage where the remains of human and alien ships floated side by side. It was a silent graveyard that reminded them of the cost of the war. Thomas, the engineer, looked at it quietly. All this death. I hope this thing really works. It will, Rian said, because it must. After several tense minutes, the small ship approached one of the hangar entrances of the mothership. The alien defenses seemed distracted by the battle raging farther away. Mira guided the ship carefully into the dark opening. Once inside, the lights dimmed and the sound of mechanical noise filled the air. They landed smoothly and stepped out, weapons ready. The interior of the ship was massive, made of silver metal with moving lights across the walls. Lynn carried the disruptor device on his back. It was heavy but precious. They had to reach the command core deep inside the ship to plant it. As they moved through the corridors, they heard strange alien sounds echoing in the distance. The air smelled of ozone and burning fuel. The Turok ship seemed alive, pulsing with energy. Every vibration reminded them that they were inside the heart of the enemy. Suddenly, a patrol of alien guards appeared from a side tunnel. The Turoks were tall, armored, and moved with robotic precision. Ryan signaled his team to take cover behind large metal containers. They waited as the aliens passed, their footsteps heavy on the floor. Then in a burst of motion, Mira fired her weapon, and the guards fell before they could raise the alarm. Move fast, Ryan ordered. They will know we are here soon. They ran through long halls that seemed endless. The deeper they went, the louder the ship hummed. Blue light grew brighter, coming from the direction of the command core. They could feel the heat from the power source. On the human communication line, the command center back on Earth listened anxiously. Scientists tracked the team's signal and generals monitored the space battle above. Alien ships were closing in on Earth's orbit, but the human fleet was holding them off just long enough. Every second the strike team survived was a second gained for the planet below. After an hour of moving through the maze-like interior, the team finally reached a massive circular chamber. In its center stood a glowing sphere of energy, the control core. Streams of light moved through the air, connecting the core to every alien ship outside. The sight was breathtaking. It was both beautiful and terrifying. This is it, Lynn whispered. This is where it all connects. They placed the disruptor near the base of the sphere. Thomas began setting up the device while Mira watched the entrance. Ryan stood beside him, reading the power levels. 5 minutes to activate, Thomas said. Once it starts, we have to run. It will overload their entire network. Ryan nodded. Make it count. Before they could finish, alarms blared through the ship. Red lights flashed across the walls. Alien soldiers stormed into the chamber from multiple directions. The humans opened fire, taking cover behind consoles. Energy blasts filled the air. The sound was deafening. Mira shouted, "We can't hold them for long." "Just finish it," Rian said firmly. "No one leaves until it's done." Lynn helped Thomas adjust the power settings while Ryan and Mira defended the perimeter. The aliens kept coming, their metallic armor shining under the blue light. Ryan fired his weapon with precise aim, hitting targets one after another. Mira threw a pulse grenade that knocked back a wave of enemies. Thomas looked up from the device. Almost done. 30 seconds. Then one of the aliens managed to hit the control console beside Ryan, causing an explosion that threw him to the floor. He struggled to get up, his vision blurry. Mira rushed to help him, dragging him behind cover. Smoke filled the chamber. 15 seconds, Thomas yelled. Rian forced himself to his feet, leaning against the wall. He looked at the glowing device. It was now humming with a deep, powerful sound. He raised his communicator and spoke to Earth Command. "This is Rian. We are activating the device. Be ready." "Copy that, Commander," came the reply. "All systems prepared." Ryan looked at his team. "Now go." Thomas pressed the final switch. A bright wave of light erupted from the disruptor. It spread like ripples in water, moving through the walls of the ship and out into space. The alien soldiers froze as their weapons shut down. The light pulsed faster until the entire chamber glowed white. "Run!" Ryan shouted. They sprinted toward the escape route. The walls shook violently. The energy core began to overload. Alarms turned into a deep, droning roar. Pieces of metal fell from the ceiling as they ran through the corridors. Behind them, the alien ship's systems started collapsing one by one. Outside, the effect of the disruptor reached the Turok's fleet. Ships suddenly lost communication. Command signals broke apart. Drones drifted aimlessly. The once perfect formation of the alien armada turned into chaos. Some ships collided. Others fired in the wrong direction. The sky above Earth filled with flashes of light as explosions tore through the alien ranks. On the ground, humans watched the scene with disbelief and joy. Every screen on the planet showed the alien fleet breaking apart. Cheers rose from shelters and bases. The sound of celebration spread from city to city. Inside the mothership, Ryan's team reached the hangar. Mira opened the hatch to their small craft and they jumped inside. The ship blasted out of the hangar just as a massive explosion tore through the alien vessel. The shockwave pushed them away, but Mira held the controls steady. They looked back at the burning wreck behind them. The mothership was falling toward Earth's ocean, its engines dead and its lights fading. "It worked," Thomas said, his voice shaking with relief. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, exhausted, but alive. Yes, it worked. Their ship entered the atmosphere, protected by a heat shield. They watched as the burning remains of the mothership fell into the sea, creating a flash that could be seen from every coast. Down below, people cheered and cried. Soldiers hugged each other. Children pointed at the sky, and scientists clapped in their labs. The tide of the war had turned. When the human command center confirmed the destruction of the mothership, a single message was broadcast to the world: "We are still here." Ryan's ship landed near a recovery zone. Medics and soldiers rushed to help them out. As he stepped onto solid ground, he looked at the sunrise. The sky was filled with smoke, but the light still shone through. It was the first sunrise of a free Earth in many months. Mira smiled faintly. "We did it," Ryan nodded. "No, humanity did it. We all did." The victory was not the end of the war yet, but it was the moment everything changed. The Turok's command was broken, their forces scattered. For the first time, the aliens felt fear. The same fear they had once tried to bring upon others. That day, the universe learned something powerful. Humanity could be beaten down, but never broken. They could be cornered, but never tamed. And when pushed to the edge, they would rise with courage that no empire could match. The turning point was not just the name of a battle. It was the moment when humanity stopped surviving and started winning.